Fáilte ar as Sharish Goody steady as she goes. You're all very welcome back to episode 5. On this week's episode, our main feature is A Picture Paints a Thousand Ships with Brian Cleare, maritime artist and historian. We're on watch with Michael Cusack in the Ross and Waterford. We also have our news from around the coast and, of course, our maritime words of the week. Now, before we head into our main feature of this week's episode of Steady As She Goes, we'll bring you some news from around the coast. And jumping straight into ferry news, and the Ben McCree is now operating on the Rosslare Fishguard route in place of Stena Nordica, who has gone off on her travels up and down the Irish Sea. We have had some weather-related disruptions in the last week. Of course, shortly after the Ben McCree came in to service, she was cancelled due to some adverse weather, and there was some slight upset on the Rosslare to Pembroke route also, with Isle of Inish free dropping a couple of sailings there. But things are getting back to normal, and hopefully the weather for the week ahead will be much kinder and things will get back to a more normal schedule. Shortly after my comments last week about the Holyhead situation and things getting back to somewhat normality, there was another incident, and Stena Estrid is believed to have made contact with T3, Terminal 3 up at Holyhead, which has caused quite significant delays and a temporary closure actually on the day. And I did notice that services such as An Post even issued delivery delay notices, just showing the impact that such an incident can have on everyday life and, of course, delivery services at this time of year. Estrid has visited Birkenhead for repairs, and that is likely to impact the Stena Line dry docking schedule going forward, but hopefully they can get things sorted out fairly quickly and get her back into service. With Stena Line in mind, the former Stena Superfast 10 is relocating across to Canada to begin service there. Another interesting development in the ferry world. She was, of course, operating Dublin to Holyhead for quite a long time. She then relocated when she was sold to a Greek company, and now she's off on her travels again across the Atlantic to operate in Canada. Some RNLI news now. It has been very busy for crews over the Christmas period and indeed the beginning of the new year. There's some very interesting statistics out from the Irish Coast Guard around Coast Guard responses, and as always, the RNLI have been busy at the start of the year. Over the New Year period and Christmas period, Wicklow RNLI had a Remembrance and Long Service award ceremony. They launched both of their lifeboats on New Year's Day for a remembrance ceremony honouring those lost over the years, with a special wreath laid for Tom Byrne, former Deputy Launch Authority there at Wicklow. And there was also long service awards presented to Kieran Doyle, 40 years service, and Mark Kavanagh, 20 years, in recognition of their dedication to saving lives at sea. And we'd like to say well done to Kieran and Mark for their excellent service. We'd like to mark a very special milestone at Dunmore East RNLI. Last week, the station bid a happy retirement to Brendan Dunn after an incredible 40 years of volunteer service. Over those 4 decades, Brendan has worn many hats, serving as a crew member, navigator and mechanic, and has seen firsthand the evolution of the station's lifeboat from the Waveney class through the Trent class, the Elizabeth and Ronald, right up to the current Shannon class, William and Agnes Ray. To give Brendan the send-off he truly deserved, a special afloat exercise was held, joined by neighbouring stations at Kilmore Quay RNLI and Feathert RNLI. And when Brendan returned to the station, he was greeted with a guard of honour from the crew, a fitting tribute to a man who has given so much to the institution and his community. Brendan's dedication to saving lives at sea has been an inspiration to everyone involved with lifeboats and wider maritime community. And we'd like to add our own thanks for his service, skill, and we wish him fair winds and following seas in his retirement. In some positive news on the maritime coverage front, there has been some good features on Dublin Port on Nationwide. So there was a 3-part series on Dublin Port on the RTE show Nationwide. Takes a look at the people, the ships, the history, and the huge amount of activity that goes on there every single day. If you missed it when it was broadcast, don't worry. It's also available to watch back on the RTE player. So well worth a look if you're interested in Dublin Port, or indeed any port or shipping activity. Staying with Dublin Port, don't forget you can watch the port live online on their webcams, and there are several live cameras showing arrivals, departures, and the day-to-day movements within the port. And they're very popular with ship spotters and anyone with a maritime interest. Just search for Dublin Port live cameras online, and you'll find the links there easily. And it's a great way to pass a bit of time watching the comings and goings on the Liffey. And once again, we'd like to give a shout out to the Dublin Dockers Preservation Society's campaign on Bill Deans. The Dublin Dockers, of course, are running the campaign to have Bill the hero, as they call him, formerly remembered for his incredibly brave and selfless actions all those years ago, and they're hoping to see Bill properly honoured. They've written the song, of course, that we spoke about last week on the podcast, The Unsung Hero, which is connected, of course, with the campaign. Find out more information on the Dublin Dockers Facebook page. The song is available on YouTube, and again, the links are on the Facebook page if you'd like to support or share it. Looking back now at the main story in the Irish fishing industry, and that's the quota cuts, of course, and we want to shine a light on the story that hasn't really been getting enough coverage, as we said, in the media, and the cuts to the Irish fishing quotas and the impact that they're going to have on coastal communities. And Irish fishing organisations are warning that these latest EU agreements will mean major reductions in key stocks for Irish boats next year, hitting livelihoods in an already vulnerable community and, of course, the coastal towns associated with fishing. Fishermen say that they're being asked to carry a completely disproportionate share of the burden, while larger foreign fleets continue to benefit from the same waters. Nobody's arguing against sustainability, of course. Everybody wants healthy fish stocks, but what coastal communities are saying loud and clear is that the system is unfair, boats will be tied up, and family fishing businesses are being pushed to the very brink. And I suppose when you compare that to the Mercosur trade debate for farmers, which rightly receives huge media attention and political focus, there's a real sense that the fishing industry isn't being given the same platform, the same sympathy, or the same national conversation, despite the impact being every bit as serious, especially given that we're an island nation. And on this podcast, we certainly stand firmly with our fishermen and our coastal communities, and their voices matter just as much as the farmers. So we're looking for a more united approach where there's a future for the livelihoods of both fishermen and farmers, and of course Ireland's maritime heritage deserves to be heard. Now, did you know the origins of Rosslare Harbour? And it wasn't just built as a port, it was designed as part of a fully connected rail and sea network linking the whole island of Ireland with Britain and beyond. So when the harbour was developed in the early 1900s, the idea wasn't simply to have ships coming and going. It was to create a seamless transport chain with ferries and ships on the sea and trains on land, all working together. The cross-channel mailboat service from Rosslare to Fishguard connected directly with trains on both sides of the Irish Sea. On the Irish side, rail services linked from as far north as Belfast, down through Dublin into Rosslare, and westward through Waterford, Cork and Kerry. And on the Welsh side, of course, passengers, post and freight fed straight onto the rail network bound for London and the Midlands. It wasn't just people and letters moving across this network, of course, and there are anecdotal stories still going around, and of course good evidence of the fish landed in Irish ports were packed under salt or ice, loaded onto the train at Rosslare and carried right through Britain, ending up at the famous Billingsgate Fish Market in London. So fish caught off the Irish coast could be on sale in London within a remarkably short time, often the next morning, long before motorways or refrigeration transformed transport. And I suppose just think back to how easy it was that day using rail freight and ships, and you'd wonder sometimes now with all the rigmarole that goes on how easy it was way back then. And Rosslare wasn't only a harbour, of course, it was a key junction in Ireland's maritime lifeline, moving mail, passengers and the catch of the day across the Irish Sea, supporting fishing communities for generations. And of course now, as the gateway to Europe, it holds a very, very important role with roll on, roll off, I suppose, and a change in the way things were done years ago. But it's just good to think back and reflect on how things used to be done. And I often hear members of our group talking about salmon and all sorts of other produce coming all the way up along the line here to Rosslare and then ending up in Billingsgate the next morning. So some very interesting reflections to look back on there. And And now to our main feature of this episode of Steady as She Goes. We are extremely lucky here at the Roster Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre, as one of our founder members is the renowned maritime artist and maritime historian Brian Cleare. Brian has an unrivaled knowledge of all things maritime, and his artwork is truly phenomenal. We're so happy that he's a member of our group. If there's something that we don't know, which is quite a lot, we turn to Brian, and if he doesn't know the answer, then he'll certainly find one for us. Brian, you're very welcome to Steady as She Goes.
Good afternoon, Sean. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Well, Brian, my earliest memory of your artwork adorning the living room wall of our home place there in Barryville was the painting of the two St. Brendans, the Sea Link ferry and the Roster Harbour lifeboat, which was probably quite new, I'd imagine, when you did that piece of work. I was then very lucky to have a commission done by my parents for my first ever deep sea ship, the Zim Panama. And then I was also honoured to have, amongst other ships, a lovely commission of the Stena Vision when I was lucky enough to be made senior master of that vessel. So I suppose I've seen your work throughout my childhood, my adult life, and indeed my career at sea, and you're still going strong, as they say.
They don't get any better. They're still, yeah, love the painting. Haven't been doing so much painting now of late. It seems to be a strain on the eyes, and it's getting the detail. I loved the detail on the ships, but I still do a few chart paintings and a few little book illustrations.
Lovely,
like
yeah. And just before we delve into the artwork itself, Brian, I suppose, a little bit of background about yourself and where you grew up and how you first got an interest for the sea. And I know you worked at sea for a little while as well. So maybe you could just give us a bit of background on yourself.
I was born and raised in Fishguard, a lower town, Fishguard. My father was from Cairn and my mother from Kilmore. We lived in a small little house down in Lower Town. Father worked on the harbour at that time. He was a diver down the harbour. So quite often when we off school, we used to go down to the harbour and we'd spend maybe all Saturday afternoon there. The interest grew, and from a very small age, I can remember collecting pictures of ships and doing little drawings and that just developed over the years.
Brilliant, yeah. And then you went on to do a bit of work yourself on the waves.
I was when I left school, I went to work in a gents outfitter shop in Fishguard, and then my lovely lady wife came along, and I eventually got a job on the ferry out of Rosslare. I joined the Caledonian Princess, 5th of May 1970, as the lowest form of life, assistant steward.
And you enjoyed your time on the ferries. You made some great friends there.
There were some great friends, great characters. To me now, unlike the rest of them, to me it was, I used to enjoy being there. We had some rough times, but we also had some good times. But my interest in the ships it was the best place for me to be,
Fantastic. And just to touch then very lightly as we slide into the art side of things, how long ago is it, can you remember, or why did you start? Did you start drawing or sketching, or how did the art and the sea connection start to blend?
Well, I was always doing drawings of ships, and it's only ships. I couldn't draw animals or portraits of people. I couldn't do them to save my life, but I liked ships, and I got to know about ships and the researching ships, and that developed over the years, and it started adding a bit of colour to the drawings, and eventually a very good friend of mine, Gillian, she was an art teacher, and she said, "You're ready for an exhibition." So I think it must have been middle 80s, 1980s. I had my first exhibition in the Unity Hall, Labour Hall in Wexford for the Opera Festival.
Wow.
And it was brilliant. Like, the reaction to my stuff was great.
Yeah.
It had a great boost.
Absolutely. And did you have formal art training, or was it self-taught, or?
No, it's just something you learned. You try this, you try that, and you try this, and you
Wow.
try that. It's just something that developed, and it it gave me great pleasure that people were quite happy to pay out what was their hard-earned cash for something I enjoy doing.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a lovely
Yeah,
that's a lovely
yeah,
sentiment to
yeah.
think of, being rewarded for the work you
Yeah,
liked
yeah,
doing,
yeah.
and they were then
And
willing to.
to me, it wasn't hard work.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, it's just
it was lovely.
a
Yeah,
labor of love, I
that's
suppose.
it. Yeah.
Something that I really want to acknowledge, and that can be seen in every piece of artwork that you do. And I know there's different types of art, and there's all different genres, let's say, but there's an incredible level of detail in your work, and that doesn't happen by accident. I know, and I've seen it with my own two eyes and experienced the amount of research that you go into, whether it be a mast positioning, a shroud or a stay, a name, the positioning of the name on the stern, whether it was port or starboard or center. You do a lot of research, and you've done a lot of research to get it just right.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you need to do the research, especially for commissions. If the commissions are usually for somebody who sailed on the ship, who was in command or worked as a deck officer or something, like that, and they know that ship inside out, like, you know.
Yeah.
So if you've got the number of portholes going down the side of the superstructure wrong, they will let you know. They know,
Yeah,
you know.
absolutely.
So it's only a question of sitting down and doing. You do an awful lot of work before you do any work.
Okay.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
I
Yeah,
get you. Yeah, I've seen it.
there's an awful lot done before you even pick up a pencil.
Yeah.
And then you start a pencil, you start the drawing, and you have the ship going this way, and maybe it'll be better going the other way. So you do another drawing, and maybe another drawing, and then you could have 3 or 4 drawings before you decide on the one that, yeah, that's the one I'll go for.
Right, okay,
And
yeah.
you
So
take
there's a
it from
big
there.
process, like you
Oh
say,
yeah,
before you ever put a piece of color on
that's
the
it.
sheet.
Yeah, yeah.
And just for the listeners, what is there a style to your artwork? It's not oils.
No.
Just it's watercolor on.
It's a water based. It's called. Most of my stuff were gouache,
Okay,
which is a water based paint. But it's got the consistency of oils, but it's mixed with water. So
okay,
you can thin it right down to a wash if you need a wash, or you can use it thick if you need to put a prominent color in.
okay. And does that flexibility within the paint itself allow you to get that detail and the
Oh,
depth
that
in the picture?
I tried oils, and I loved oils, and I do admire everybody that does some magnificent paintings with oils, but I found it difficult for me to get the detail with oils that I can get with gouache. Like,
Okay, okay.
I can use a real fine sable brush, and I can get the finest of lines
Lovely.
with
Which is
the
very important from a
brush.
shipping
Oh,
point of view.
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All the rigging and everything like that.
Absolutely. Is there a particular type of ship you prefer doing? Is it a traditional sailing vessel or a high-sided ferry, or what's your
Oh no,
preference?
the high-sided ferries, they're hard work
Are
because
they?
oh yeah, because a lot of them now have got names on the side like Stenaline or Sealink or whatever,
Oh
like, you know,
yeah,
and the lettering is hard work to get that right, like,
that's
you know.
very interesting.
But no, I love the old schooners.
Yeah,
Love the old schooners, the sailing ships, like, you know, and old steam coasters. Love them, like, you know.
yeah,
Put plenty of rust on them.
yeah. Exactly. Make him
Yeah,
look true to character.
yeah. They were working boats of their day.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's
yeah.
no point in having them
Oh
pristine
no,
in
no!
every.
Like the only time the paint was shiny is the day they come out of dry dock.
Yeah.
The next day it was rust somewhere.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask you in a moment, and you can have a little think about it while we discuss the next topic. But I'm going to ask you about favourites, and if you have any one outstanding one. But I know there's a very famous piece of your work, and to pardon the pun, that has been floating around for many times, and that's the famous piece of work on the Pomona. Now, some people around these parts reckon that the Pomona was carrying a cargo of anchors and life rings, because everybody seems to have an anchor or a life ring off the Pomona. And you can tell us a little bit about the wreck and the ship itself in a minute. But I reckon there was another ship coming behind the Pomona, and it had a cargo of prints of your painting of the Pomona, because they are spread far and wide. And I think it's probably
Everywhere.
one of your most successful works in that people
Yeah.
got on and really enjoyed it. Can you tell us a little bit about the Pomona?
But Pomona was an immigrant ship. She was sailing from Liverpool to New York, and during the stormy night, she went aground off the Blackwater Bank, and there was a heavy loss of crew. I think passengers, 300 plus lost. I was commissioned to do a painting from a member of the Wexford Sub-Aqua Club, and they wanted to raise funds to buy a dive boat, a rescue boat for the diving club. So I did the painting, and when the painting was finished, they said, "Right, how much will we sell it for?" And I go, you might get 200, 300, 400 euro for it, like, But I suggested to them, like, have a think about prints.
Yeah.
I said, it was you can only sell the picture once, but you can sell prints over and over.
Yeah.
So they went away, and they had a meeting, and they came back and they said, "If we get the prints done, will you sign them?" "Oh, yeah, no problem at all," they said. So they got the prints done. I think they got 1,000 prints done. And as you say, in every pub up along the east coast of Ireland, there's a print.
So as they say, you're like our Lord, you're omnipresent.
Oh yeah, there's a print there. They did very well out of the prints, and a matter of fact, I think from the funds raised, they were able to buy 2 boats.
Oh, fantastic!
For the club, and they were very pleased. And it's really nice. You go into a pub or even the hotel, somewhere like that, and you look around.
Yeah,
there's another one of mine.
Yeah, brilliant.
On the Pomona.
Excellent.
But no, it certainly hasn't done me any
harm. Yeah, nice. And going back then, you've done lots of commissions and you've also diversified quite a lot. We'll talk about your chartlets in a minute, but I have a lovely picture of a painting of the Stena Adventure on a piece of church roof slate at home. I know you've done on little stones and all sorts. But is there something throughout all the paintings that you've done, either a commission or a particular ship, that first comes to mind, or is the closest to your heart, let's say?
Illustrating the books. We did the book Fishguard, the Ross and Waterford book, and the Sea Link or Stena Line, as they were then in Fishguard, commissioned 13 paintings, and they were all used in the book, and they're all now in their office in Fishguard. So that was a proud moment for me.
Lovely.
And then myself and Jack O'Leary got together, and we did the Sailing Ships of Wexford, and that was a labour of love. We had a fantastic 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it was, putting that all together. Jack had come up with another ship. I started to research where she was built, when she was built, what tonnage she was, what rig she was, and from all that I was able to put a picture together, do a little painting, and that was another ship illustrated for the book. And it went so well. We were so Jack and I were so proud of that book.
Absolutely, yeah, and so you should be.
Yeah, and following on from that, then we did the Irish shipping book.
Yeah,
and with John Boyce, Brian Boyce, and Leo and myself, and help from yourself as well.
Yeah, it was
when
great
it came to editing and all that. We had a good time doing it.
It was fantastic, and those are 2 books that I've said before on the podcast that we will review in their own right, and they're lovely, and to have such connections. Like my thoughts of people who wrote books and contributed books were very far off people who lived in different places than I did. Yeah. But then to see you guys doing it and getting involved and pulling all that research together, it just kind of showed me that you don't have to be afraid of big projects like that. And the knowledge is there. If it's not there, it can be found. And it's lovely to see those books now in print for sale, still some of them. And, to people like Jack who have gone to sail a different sea now, God rest him, it kind of pays tribute to him in a way as well. That stuff is in the book. And, I know you had a very strong friendship there, and to be able to do things like that together, and they're there forever now.
Yeah. You mentioned Jack. He was. I knew Jack back when we were working on the ferries, the Caledonian Princess together in 1970 something. That's when I first met Jack, and we became good friends then. And we've been good friends since. And to get together and do the book, Jack's knowledge of the seafarers of Wexford is unbelievable. Like, and he had all the stories. He put all the stories. All I did to get the book was put a picture to what he was talking about. Like,
Yeah, well, as usual, you're always very modest, and you're being very modest now because I know the amount of work that went in there. But again, Jack is someone we are definitely going to pay tribute to in another episode. Just with that in mind, Brian, you are a founder member of the Rosslare Maritime Enthusiasts and the centre here itself. And for me, it looks like when you're here and you're around this group, it's your happy place, and you get a great bit of excitement and a kick out of it. Yeah. And I think it's something that you really love doing, is it?
Oh, I do. You really look forward to the start. They're a rough crowd, John.
They are sure, a motley crew.
Yeah, motley crew, and you have to keep them in trim. You have to.
Yeah, which is hard going.
Yeah, what we have here is a real place to admire, and I really do enjoy coming down. And it's all about teamwork.
Absolutely.
All about teamwork. And I said to our chairman, our permanent, what seems to be our permanent chairman, that there are no captains here. We're all mates.
Yeah, which is brilliant.
Yeah,
which is really good. Yeah. There's nobody calling the shots. It's all lovely atmosphere, and
we've all got different ideas, and we all have similar interests.
Absolutely.
And we come down here. We do a bit of work, shifting stuff around, or maybe new stuff coming in, or we sit down then, have our cup of tea and stuff like that. And quote of a world famous quote now, sometimes we talk about ships.
That's right, yeah, which is a quote now that's been immortalized in the RTE Nationwide series. That just really tells the whole story, come down and have a bit of crack, and sometimes we talk about ships. Going back to the artwork for a second, your latest kind of venture, I know you do the odd large work still, but the chartlet paintings, I can't remember how they started or how it happened, but they're really nice. And for anyone that hasn't seen them, they are on Facebook there. We'll share some of the images online. Basically, sure, you tell us what they are.
Yeah. If somebody wants a picture of the St. David or the St. Patrick out of Rosslare, I'll get a copy of a chart of Rosslare Harbour and Wexford Harbour and all that thing. And I just do a little drawing of the ship in the corner and then painted in it's a lovely little picture that it's not big, and they're handy little size, and we sell them at the museum. We've had loads of commissions.
And what's lovely about them is they're very personal, because as Brian said there, you could have a particular ship and Brian will put it in it could be the bay here in Rosslare, it could be passing the Tusker or on the way in past Strumble or Dublin Port or wherever, which is that the personal part of it is really nice, isn't it?
Well, you mentioned the personal part. There's one I just finished last week, and it's off to Kildare tomorrow. Not tomorrow. A lady called Christine emailed me about doing the picture.
Right.
And she was particular about she wanted the Irish pine, the third Irish pine, and preferably in Dublin Bay, she said, because that she met her husband on the Irish pine.
Okay.
And it was in Dublin Bay on one of the ferries that he proposed to her.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. So I've done that now, and that's gone off, or it'll be going off this week now to her.
Another strand of a story connected to the painting, because obviously we know the stories of the ships and the crews and the other works that you've done, but there's something slightly different. That's and isn't it lovely to hear that you're still being asked to paint the likes of the Irish pine?
Yeah.
So a ship and a group of ships that have a lot of history attached to them, and isn't that brilliant? It's fantastic.
I've done quite a few Irish shipping ships now, in and out by the Cork.
Yeah.
I'm also involved with the World Ship Society Cove branch.
Yeah.
And every time they have somebody come down give a talk, they like to make a little presentation to them. And they ask me would I do a little picture, like it could be Titanic, it could be one of the naval ships. The last one I did now was the Ellie Ashling.
Oh yes, I remember her.
Yeah, and it was presented to the lady that was former master
very
of the Ellie
nice.
Ashling. She'd come down, give us a talk and everything like that.
Brilliant. Very
So
nice.
she was delighted.
Yeah, of course she was, yeah.
Just simple little
Have
things.
you any idea, Brian, and this is probably a question from left field, but have you any idea how many paintings of ships you've done over the time?
No.
No. In a word, no.
No.
But it's hundreds, like,
Oh,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's an awful lot.
Yeah.
Well, it's not an awful lot. It is a lot.
A huge amount, let's say, yeah.
Yeah.
You're now living in Passage East and have been for a while. And I don't suppose it's an accident that you literally live on the water's edge, and when you open your front door, you get your feet wet. You have plenty of passing ships to watch.
That goes up to New Ross, Bellevue, or Waterford has to pass by my front door.
Your permission.
Yeah.
They don't need a pilot; they need your permission. You love it down there.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. You know, it's a nice spot. It's a handy spot. 10, 12 minutes, you're in Waterford City. 10, 12 minutes, you're in Dunmore East, another lovely, beautiful spot. And it takes me hours to get down here. But
down the motorway.
But we get down here, and it's not too far away.
Yeah. But the most important thing is that there's ships passing the front door every couple of days or so.
Yeah.
Is there any ship that you would love to paint that you haven't painted yet? Is there a favorite ship in your, or is there a generally? What is your favorite ship? Have you got one?
No, not really.
You love them all dearly.
Yeah. I've always loved the schooners, steam coasters, and ferries, because I worked on them for a long time. Passenger liners, yeah, but no, the old
stuff is best. Yeah,
that is what I like.
Before we wrap up, we'll just mention the latest big project that you were involved in, and that, of course, is Terry Conlon's book that was recently released, and we spoke about in episode 2. I know you're very happy with that as well, and you'd like to wish Terry all the very best with
it. If you could call a book beautiful,
yeah,
it's a beautiful book. It's well illustrated, and nearly over 500 pages. And Terry and I spent many a trip up and down to C&R Print in Enniscorthy, and we had a brilliant time.
Fantastic, yeah.
And we are I know Terry is so proud of this book.
Yeah.
And so proud of the job that C&R Print have done.
Excellent. It's really nice publication, yeah. and we'll give it a shout out here again, obviously, for Terry. Look, before we go, we can reassure the listeners, don't be too scared. Brian is going to be a regular contributor on Steady As She Goes, and he's now aware of that. But we're going from strength to strength here. We're coming into the modern era as regards our TikTok and our Facebook, which has always been there, but the podcast is very new still, and you're still enjoying life in the Ross and Waterford Maritime Heritage Centre here, aren't you?
Love it, man. Love it. They're a rough crowd, as I said before, but
yeah, brilliant.
We've been together a good many years now. We're still talking to one another.
That's it. Yeah, there's no white papers being given out.
No, we haven't had a row yet.
It's just fantastic. Brian Cleare, maritime artist, seafarer, founder member, and if you'll allow me to call you a friend, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Steady As She Goes, and we'll speak to you again very soon.
Thank you, Sean.
And thanks once again to Brian for joining us for his first appearance here on Steady As She Goes. But fear not, he will return. He's scheduled in to come and chat to us at least on a monthly basis here on the podcast. If you have not seen any of Brian's maritime artwork yet, well then you are in for a treat. We have lots of works on display here at the Ross and Waterford Maritime Heritage Centre at the moment. Some of them are for sale. And of course we mentioned the chart paintings there. Brian will paint pretty much any ship you can think of on a local chart. They come in a nice frame. Ideal gift. We had lots of requests over Christmas there for them, and they really do come out very nicely. Thanks once again, as I say, to Brian, and we'll hear from him very soon again on Steady As She Goes. Now, of course, the members of the Rosslare Maritime enthusiasts have been busy as always, out on watch on the top of the bank here in Rosslare, keeping an eye on movements, and they continue to be recorded, as we heard a couple of episodes ago. And Michael Cusack is keeping a good eye on things down in New Ross and Waterford. So, Michael, join me this week for a look back at some of the movements since the Christmas period in the ports of Waterford and New Ross. And I believe you're going to start off today with the movements in Waterford recently, Michael.
That's right. Well, very busy post-Christmas in the harbour. All regulars, Sam Skip Endeavour and Heinrich Schaefer's, both container ships, called several times since Christmas. An interesting caller was Miche Flora, a 90-metre coaster with an eco-friendly hybrid engine, diesel and battery energy storage system.
Is that the first time she's been in then?
That's the first time she is called. Some of her sister ships have been in.
Right, okay.
About 4 of them, I think.
Very interesting setup, yeah.
All the same design and length, finish, the whole lot.
Excellent.
Very modern looking.
Very good.
Arklow Shipping are regular callers too. The 3 ships have already called: the Ranger, the Valiant, and the Fern. Usual cargo is either feed or fertilizer.
Okay.
Another interesting caller was Eco Trinity, a new vessel, 2025 build, bridge and accommodation forward. Usually comes in with blades or turbines. This time a bulk cargo.
Okay.
Again, livestock exports are back with the MV Alondra arriving. Probably cattle.
Okay.
Exports usually around Egypt.
That's very interesting at the minute with everything that's going on in world affairs. Yeah, so very interesting.
Yeah. Then we had another fine mini bulk, as I call, 142 metres. The MV Arlen was in port for 7 days. Possibly steel cargo, seeing that she was here for so long.
That's quite a while, yeah, for a caller down your way, yeah.
Top of the callers was the MV Ionia D, 180 metre with part cargo from Vines, originated in Canada. Arrived on the morning tide of 7th of January and sailed on the 8th of January. Very quick turnaround. So a small amount, maybe about 5,000 tonnes, 3.5 to 5,000 tonnes of cargo. Ships due: 2 Arklow, the Beacon and the Cove are due in, and 2 federal ships are due, both 200 metres long. The Delta and the Columbia probably feed cargoes in both, as usual.
Yeah.
On a quick count, 18 ships approximately have called since Christmas.
It's been busy enough then since Christmas.
Very, very busy.
Yeah, and overall, would you have noticed recently, Michael, that things, let's say over the last few years, things in Waterford are on the upward trend? Is it getting busier?
Very much on the upward trend, and even there's modes afoot to extend the jetty.
Excellent.
For another 250 feet, which is substantial.
Absolutely, yeah, and that'll allow longer ships, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
And you mentioned, was it the Iona D there? She's 180 metres. Would that be kind of the bigger end of the ships you see, or is there some slightly bigger as well?
No, I'd say she's maximum for a freighter.
Okay.
Length.
Yeah.
An odd cruise ship has come up maybe on the 200 metre.
Right, okay. But still a big ship to have up there, and very encouraging to see more ships and then that planned extension.
I think the problem really with those is the draft.
Yes, of course.
Limited draft.
Yeah, in the shallower parts on the river.
Exactly.
Yeah. And did you say earlier on when we were chatting off air, did you say there was possibly a slight issue with one of the vessels as she departed? There was tows, I think, heading towards one of them, was there?
That happened. The ship was departing, as you say, and she got as far as passage.
Okay.
And something obviously went amiss with either engine or propulsion of some description.
Yeah.
And it took 2 tugs
to sort out the issue.
To take her in tow and bring her back to the boat.
Well, thankfully, anyway, there was no major issue. They got it sorted, as we say, and there was no environmental or human impact there.
No.
And you have a few updates from New Ross there, have you?
New Ross has been quiet, but I see there's 3 ships due. The MV Palmborg for Stokestown with cement probably. The Speak coming to Raheen, possibly as coal or to collect scrap, and the Wilson Samia, a Raheen cargo unknown.
Excellent,
And
good stuff.
It's good sign for her.
Yeah, for the first few days of January to have those. Exactly, yeah. Lovely. Listen, Michael, it's great to talk to you. Great to get an update from that neck of the woods, as we call it. Mm-hmm. You're enjoying your time with the Maritime enthusiasts since you joined up?
Very much so. Very much so. Look forward to every weekend.
Brilliant.
For the chat and the tab nabs and carry on and the rest of it.
The tab nabs are most important. We all look forward to them.
Absolutely.
Great talking to you, Michael, and we'll certainly be getting another update in the very near future here from you on Steady As She Goes.
Thank you very much, Ron.
And now it's time for our little bit of fun at the end of each episode. It's our Maritime Words of the Week. And this week's word is one that always raises an eyebrow. It's the part of the ship called the poop deck. Now, despite the name, it has absolutely nothing to do with toilets. The word actually comes from the French la poupe, meaning the stern of the ship, which in turn comes from the Latin puppus. So the poop deck is quite literally the stern deck. On traditional sailing ships, the poop deck was a raised deck right at the back or the after end of the vessel, usually built on top of the stern cabin. From this high vantage point, the ship's master or officer of the watch could look forward over the entire ship, watch the sails, oversee the crew, and keep an eye on conditions. It was very much a command and observation position. On modern ships, the role has changed, but the name has stayed with us. Today, the poop deck is generally the aftermost working deck, and you'll often find mooring equipment there, winches and bollards and stern lines and springs being handled during arrivals and departures. So to sum that one up, the poop deck isn't what most people think it is. It's simply the stern deck of the ship with a name that travels all the way back through French and Latin to the age of sail. So that's about it for episode 5. Once again, thank you to everyone for listening into the podcast. Don't forget to leave a review and follow on whatever platform you're using. The support so far has been overwhelming and we really do appreciate it. The Roster Harbour Maritime Heritage Centre, of course, is open every Saturday from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Admission is free. We have maritime artefacts, ships models, and a vast maritime library. If there's any title you're looking for, let us know, or simply call in and have a browse. We'd be delighted to see you. Don't forget to check out our socials on Facebook and TikTok, and the email address, of course, is rostermaritime@hotmail.com. Take care for the coming week, fair sailing, and steady as she goes.